take care of the office space. I reserve spaces for you in curricula 4th floor, and also I help reserve projectors and meeting spaces for you. So, and I also take care of the quarterly print allocations. So, how many of you have received an email or seen it? The copies that you have. So I sent it to the head director. So hopefully they'll relay that information to you soon. So to access the office, you have to have a key card access form filled out and signed by Omar and turned into A level. So how many of you already have key card access? Okay, good, a lot of you. So if you need access, you can go ahead to the 4th floor and there's a little clear tiered thing outside of 405, and you can pick up a blank form and leave it in the to be signed area of the tier, and then Omar will sign it. And it is your responsibility to pick up the form and bring it to A level, and then they'll scan your green card and you should be ready to access the office within like 3 or 4 days. So like Anna and Alex talked about, there are some expectations of the communal space just because there's so many projects that share it. So whenever I send out emails about like project boards or like anything in general about print allocations, I would really appreciate if you could respond to me that you either read it or that you relayed the information to your directors, just because it's important that the information does get spread to your project directors. And if there are any problems that you see in the office, you can either email me or I'll mention later, you can post it on the office problem sheet on the exec door, and then I'll work on those problems with either ASCC or the A-level people or with the 3rd floor. And so I know that we mentioned something about an incentive system for keeping the office space clean during Gen Retreat, but we've actually been working on a system that doesn't only include office cleanliness, but also attendance in different PLD workshops and trainings like this one, and so that this way we can provide like larger scale incentives, and that you can like work towards it with a point system. So we're currently working on like fleshing out the details of that. So we should have this implemented sometime during the beginning of winter quarter. So we'll update this, like the progress of this system, probably during the first couple of Gen meetings. So the technological resources that are available to you, you might want to write this down if you don't already know, but the computers, in case they're ever turned off and turned back on, the password is place2be, and you want to use the CSC username, not the admin one. And I've created little folders for all of the projects on each of the desktops, so whenever you save something onto the computer, please transfer it into your folder so that it doesn't clutter the desktop. And I will be clearing like random files that are on the desktop at the end of each quarter. So I'll try to like drag it into your project folder if I can identify which project it's from, but if I can't, then I will delete it. So please be sure to identify your materials.
So if you say on one computer, will it be on all other computers?
No, they're not all connected right now. Yeah. We're working on that though. That's okay, and also we have the brother printer. It's in the transpo office. It's not in the main like 405 when you walk in, but to the right. We also have a Xerox copier, which I'll talk about in a little bit. And like I said, the copy codes as well as the print allocations were sent out to you earlier this week, probably last week. And we also have 2 LCD projectors that are available for reservations. So you just have to email me your project's name, when you need it, what time, and also there's Mac adapters that are included in these projector bags. So if you have a Mac, it won't be a problem connecting it. So this year, if you guys were directors last year, you're probably familiar with the fact that we had a very strict, like every project got the same amount of copies and prints last year, but because of the data that we collected last year based on like the number of prints and copies that each project used, we found that it would probably be more useful if we had a tiered system based on number of service recipients, just so that the number of prints and copies that one project gets allocated wouldn't, I mean, if they didn't use it, then it wouldn't go to waste and it could go to a different project that has more service recipients and tends to use their whole allocation. So these numbers, I mean, I allocated based on the numbers that were on the CSC proposals this summer, so they're up to date and they include the numbers for any new sites that you would open this year. So hopefully the system will work so that you don't have to, you won't exceed your copy count. And so yeah, if your project does tend to exceed its copy count, then you can choose to enroll in the deposit system. So what that is basically you have to apply to SUF in the fall and basically transfer $50 from your account to CSC's account. And then this will be kind of like a buffer for any extra printing that you do. And in the case that you don't oversee your printing, it will return this money back to you at the end of the year. And if you do exceed your copy count without enrolling in the deposit system, then you'll have to transfer funds whenever, like for the number of copies or prints that you go over. But yeah, like I said before, hopefully with this tiered system, this will happen less frequently.
We can only make the $50 deposit in the fall. What happens?
Yeah, in the fall.
And that's for the whole year, though.
Right.
So it's best to just do it.
Yeah. So I mean, if your project has a history of exceeding copy counts, then I would recommend it. Because you would get the money back at the end if you don't use it. Okay. So some random printing tips. So if you want to print directly from the Xerox machine, then you can use a USB and plug it directly in. But your file has to be in PDF or it won't show up on the little Xerox screen. Also, the 3 desktops in 405, those are connected to the Xerox printer, but the ones in the transport office are not. So just make sure that you pick from those 2 computers. Also, if you open up a picture on the computer that's to the far right in the 405 office, then it won't print directly to the Xerox. For some reason, it gives an error message. So just copy and paste that picture into Microsoft Word and it should print fine. Also, when you're making copies, if you are feeding it into the tray, and there's a copy in the on the scanner glass, then it won't copy properly, so make sure to remove that copy. And also, please make sure to feed your own project's paper. Sometimes projects leave their paper in the machine, and it's unfortunate because other projects just use it. So just make sure to take your paper with you and provide it when you need to make copies. And also, please make a single print and then make multiple copies on the machine, just because you are allocated much more copies than you are prints. So for reserving 408, yeah, so it's available anytime that Kirkhoff is open. Unless you have late access, then I guess you could have meetings later than that. Just please email me with when you would like to reserve it, like the times and the dates. And you can also have like weekly meetings. So if you want like 6 to 7 every week, then you can email me that. But you should probably email me soon, just because like other projects might want it at the same time.
I might be going on a time so please
That's okay.
don't need to forget about it later. But you know the CPO programs in the SAC office building? So we're CSS, so does that mean we're exclusive from each other, or can we rent space there?
I'm not in control of renting that space, so you might want to talk to Omar about that, and he can direct you to the correct person. And also, because 408 is a communal space and there are projects that are coming back from site throughout the week, just because you have the time reserved doesn't mean that other directors can't come in and out, so be mindful of that. And also you can reserve the exec office, especially during the spring quarter when you're recruiting for new directors and having interviews. And these are a list of the items that are currently available to you in the CSC checkout system. So these are kind of like things that would be useful for fundraisers or for trainings. So if you're interested, you can just email me and I'll set that up for you to pick up. And how many people have used the CSC Communal Library before? Okay. So this is partially why we're getting rid of the CSC Communal Library. Aww. So it's in the Transpo office in 405, and it's above like Hunger Projects materials, and it's in the corner of the office. So if you would like any of the books, you're free to take it right now until until week 3. And after that point, we'll start donating them to nonprofits around the area. So yeah, go ahead and take whichever books that you'd like. Also, I haven't emailed about the boards yet, but there are a couple projects that have boards that are either outdated or haven't been revamped since they were vandalized last winter. So if you would like help with that, I could totally help you with that. So just once I send the email, please respond to it, and we can set up a time to meet and help you with. Are there any questions?